Hello again, I'm Robert Fithen. I want to talk about some psychedelic finds that I recently acquired. Really good stuff in here, and some that are kind of, not awesome, but we'll still talk about them anyway. Start off with this classic that I'm sure you know and love. Hopefully it's The Doors, but this is the original mono version of their debut album from 1967. This is not as easy to find, anywhere as easy to find as their stereo one. I've wanted this for quite a while, but never really wanted it enough to go and pay some huge price for it or anything like that. So this was pretty reasonable. This was like $10. It's in decent condition, like VG Plus, I guess. But it is the original mono version. It seems like maybe it's a little bit of a different mix than the stereo version, but nothing too significantly different about this. If you have the stereo one, you pretty much got the one there. This has kind of a dry sound to it. The vocals, especially, everything is just. That's really the best way I can describe the sound of this. Just very dry, and it's kind of hard to detect that this is mono. The only thing that lets you know is this tiny little thing down here that says mono. Some of the later ones have a big mono sticker up here, but this was one of the ones that actually just has mono and tiny writing down there on the bottom right hand. But yeah, The Doors, I'm not going to go into what a classic album this is or why it's so great or why I love it so much or whatever. I mean, that's, enough has been said about this album. Just basically want to talk about the differences in the mono version and the stereo one. It seems like some of the songs are a little faster on this, and from what I understand by reading the booklet of The Doors, remember those horrible Doors reissues they came out with on CD? This was the early 2000s, somewhere around there, maybe 2005 or something like that. They came out with these awful Doors remixes. And they just remixed all the songs, put in all kinds of studio stuff that wasn't there before from different takes and stuff. Jim Morrison laughing on L.A. Woman on that. I mean, they did every album. And I got all of those for Christmas one year because I thought they were just remastered. And no, they were all remixes. They were all terrible. But one of the things that the booklet for the debut said is that the stereo version was actually pressed and mastered a little too slow. So the songs are actually supposed to be a little faster, especially Light My Fire. And it's only supposed to be 6 minutes and like 50 seconds instead of 7 minutes and 6 seconds. So the single version has the right speed. And I think this has closer to what the correct speed was supposed to be as well. But Light My Fire sounds very, everything is very centered, obviously. It's mono, but it's a very dry sound. The drums are a little buried as well. The percussion doesn't pop out, especially on like one channel like it does on some of the songs on the stereo version. And of course, this is mono, so there are slight differences in mixes, like I said. The biggest one that stands out is the song The End, where you can actually hear Jim Morrison doing the a lot more than you can definitely hear in the stereo one, where it's pretty much muted in that one. Now, obviously, there's later stereo CD releases and re-releases where they've brought those, the and the kill, all that is a lot louder, and it's blatantly, you can hear that. But in the original stereo version, it's pretty much muted out. In the mono one, it's there. I mean, you have to listen for it, but it's there in the original mono one. So that was pretty shocking to actually hear that right there in the end song. Yeah, Break On Through still has the she gets instead of she gets high, which I actually always preferred the she gets. That's the one I grew up with. That's the one I heard for decades. I remember when they re-released it and they put the high in there. And they said that was the way it was originally recorded, was she gets high. But to me, that always sounded like edited in. It doesn't sound right. It sounds like it's from a different take, or the word high is just dubbed in or something. It doesn't sound natural to my ears anyway. I think there's a little bit of trickery involved in that. But I just like the She Gets version. That's the one that everybody heard for decades since the 60s. That's the one we all love. And so, yeah, I'm glad to finally get the Doors mono version, see what some of those very, very slight differences are. Now, sure, the Doors had some mystical lyrics on their first album, but if you want your garage rock from the mid-'60s to be just filled with just blatant drug references, then The Seeds is the band for you, or at least one of the bands, and this is their 1966 album, A Web of Sound. Now, I've had a version of this. Mine is pretty much on the lower VG side, maybe even G+. It's got some really loud pops in it and even a couple of skips. I don't usually mind like clicks in old albums. That kind of adds to some of the charm. But I was glad to get this 2017 reissue that's just been reissued, but I believe this is the same one that came out in 2017. Nice tip-on jacket, very glossy finish here. It's the kind you don't want to touch too much because you just touch it a little bit and your fingerprints are all over it. The Seeds, A Web of Sound, is now a gatefold, and there is what the inside of that looks like. So you got some nice studio boxes here, tape boxes. You got some newspaper clippings, a bunch of photos of the band, some concert little photos there, or posters there. And you get the original album in stereo, and then you get a second disc full of all kinds of bonus tracks with outtakes, different takes, single versions. You get the single mix of Mr. Farmer, Let Me Water Your Crops. So you get the stereo version of that on the album, and you get the original mono mix of that. You get the mono mix from the mono album of Trip Maker. These songs, with songs like Mr. Farmer, which is pretty much about a marijuana farmer. Trip Maker, which is about a guy who's producing acid, pretty much. I mean, you don't have to... They don't really hide it too much, either. I mean, they don't come out right out and say, hey, the farmer is growing marijuana, but you can certainly tell what's going on by the lyrics. And the second song, Pictures and Designs, his mind is flashing. We're way past weed at that point on song 2. Trip Maker, I just talked about. I Tell Myself, A Faded Picture is a nice ballad. There's a different take on the second record. I actually like the second take, or the outtake, better than the one that's on the album. Rollin' Machine is also on here. Now, I thought that's at the end of side 1. I originally thought listening to that, well, this one might actually be about a car. This is probably not about a joint rolling machine, because it's got get in and take a ride. But then he's going to take you to the land of dreams in this ride. So, yeah, it's about a marijuana rolling machine. Just Let Go is on side 2. It's only got 2 songs on it. That one and Up in Her Room, which goes on for 14 minutes. With just this really simple music line that just do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do for 14 minutes. It does kind of pick up the energy as it goes along. Basically turns into a rave up at the end. All about being up in your room and making love in your room. Again, it's 1966. Van Morrison wasn't allowed to do that with Brown Eyed Girl. Wasn't able to make love in the green grass. It had to be changed to laughing and running in the green grass. But these guys could be making love up in your room. I don't even think Van Morrison was allowed to go up in your room in Gloria. Didn't you? It's one of those versions they had to change it to up in your house or something like that. Anyway, up in the room, just making love, doing drugs. That's our Seeds. I originally reviewed my old copy of this on Instagram, and that was back when I'm not really on Instagram too much anymore. Kind of, got tired of that. But I used to take pictures of myself, parodying album covers, and so there that is. But yeah, glad I picked this up, because this was kind of hard to find, this reissue, for a while. Came out in 2017, just got reissued earlier this month. So The Seeds and A Web of Sound. About the reissue, one of the inner sleeves is just blank. The other one is this nice GNP Crescendo. I got some other releases there. And then this one tells you all about their documentary called Pushing Too Hard that you can see on Vimeo. And the thing about it is I read some of the reviews. It's $7 to rent it. And then it's $15 if you want to just flat out buy the video. And it's one of those, it's like Amazon. You're not really downloading anything. You're just buying access to the video, presumably forever. Well, not according to the comments. Because the comments are like, hey, wait a minute, I paid $15 for this, and it's disappeared. And there's like 4 different comments that say that. And then people are talking about the sound quality's not that good. The music just completely drowns out a lot of the dialogue. You can't even understand what a lot of people are saying. So I'm not really sure if I want to check that out or not. But if you do, it's on Vimeo, and it's Pushing Too Hard is the name of the documentary about the Seeds. Also in this package, you get this really nice little booklet, full color with all kinds of pictures, big long essays in there. Again, concert posters and tape boxes and just all kinds of cool stuff in there. You can read about the bonus tracks. I read through a little bit of it. It's kind of interesting. You get kind of an interview in there. and all the recording information on the different takes and the different studios where they were. So yeah, nice booklet in there. Again, full color. Love the back, with the purple and everything. So I almost didn't even realize this was in there. I didn't realize it had a booklet in there until I went to Discogs to log it like I have it and whatever, and it said includes 8-page book, and I'm like, wait, does mine have a book? And I actually looked in there and, oh yeah, there's a booklet in here. So almost completely missed this. But yeah, The Seeds, A Web of Sound. Sound of it is phenomenal. It sounds fantastic too. It is the stereo mix. So on this particular recording, you got the drums on the left channel just pounding away. The right channel is more of the other instruments, and the vocals are centered. That's what makes listening to things like the mono mix of the single versions of Mr. Farmer, and then it's also got the mono mix of Tripmaker on here, sounding completely different. It's a different experience because everything is centered and you don't have that real wide sound stage like you have on the stereo version. But yeah, the Seeds music, it's that great 60s garage rock sound with the nice keyboards and the all of it is in here. The fuzz guitar, the whole thing is going on in here. Just if you're into 60s garage rock, you probably already know all about this band, honestly. But just the drums on the left too, just the pounding of the drums isolated to one channel. That's kind of an unconventional way to produce an album. But I actually kind of dig it. I always have. There's a Grand Funk, the Red album is like that. There's a few different scattered songs where the drums are. Frida Payne's Band of Gold is like that. And it's not conventional, but it is. It is a different kind of sound where the drums are just on one channel. It sounds like the drummer is in the corner and just pounding away, but you can really hear just every little nuance of the drums when they do that. They're not like kind of very nicely centered and conventional and, this is the way you're supposed to do it. And, every once in a while you'll have a little tom-tom over here or whatever. No, the drums are all over there and just bow, 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 bow. And so not the best for listening on earbuds or something like that. But if you got a full speaker stereo system, it can be kind of a neat sound for these guys. But yeah, this reissue, the sound is fantastic. It sounds just as good as my original, but obviously better because it doesn't have all the crackling and the skipping and the huge pops that go through one of the songs. So, just keep both. One for the nostalgia of it. I got an original artifact from the 60s, and then when I want to actually listen to it, I'll probably pull out the reissue. So from a terrific reissue, we go to an original pressing. This is the band High Tide with the album Sea Shanties. I had been looking for this for a long, long time. It's a pretty rare album, pretty expensive to get an original copy like this. It's about $100 median price, about $150 in great condition. And I got this for like $5 at an estate sale. So what a score. But yeah, I love finding stuff like this because I've been wanting this for quite a while. I've streamed it for years. Finally got an original. This is a U.S. pressing from 1969 on Liberty Records. Cover art's okay. You got the black and white thing going on there on both the front and the back. And then you open it up for the gatefold, which is a little more interesting there. But yeah, this is the album Sea Shanties from High Tide. They're a band from London. They only had a couple of albums out. Their second one was never even released in the U.S., so that's going to be even harder to find than this one. Still can't believe I got this for the price I got it, because this is quite a sought-after album, and for good reason. It's great. Not so much psychedelic, more like heavy, heavy guitar rock from 1969. Kind of the early, kind of almost metal sound, like the Black Sabbath type thing going on here. You got the nice low-end groove guitar going on, just that crunchy guitar, rock guitar from the late 60s, early 70s, but you've also got the blistering high notes in there as well. So it kind of covers the entire scape of heavy guitar rock there. Also, the lead vocalist is not exactly screaming, he's not squealing, it's more of this, he's got a really kind of narrow area there that he's singing in. And it's more of like a deep crooning thing like this. Not really deep, it's not like he's pushing his vocals. That's the great thing about these vocals. He seems to know his range, and he stays right in there. It's not like it's forced. So great vocals in there, even though, like I said, it's a narrow range, but it's kind of this thing of going like this. Lyrics are, for 1969, pretty outstanding, like, whoa, it's got the Mother Earth and the birds are shitting all over her. You've got rotting corpses and the children scream, and you know, so it's pretty out there for, especially like I said, for 1969. If you're a metal fan and you like that kind of thing, you definitely want to seek this out. There are reissues of this that are a lot cheaper than the $100 as this thing goes for on Discogs. $150 for a great condition one. This is like a VG++. I got this for like $5 at an estate sale. Could not believe I scored this for that price, because like I said, I've been wanting this for quite a while. I saw this and my eyes were just like, it was that kind of thing where you like your heart like skips a beat. But yeah, High Tide is the band. Sea Shanties is the album. It does not sound like Sea Shanties. This is not Yo Ho Ho and a bottle of rum. What makes this sound a little bit different than a lot of the really hard-edged guitar rock from the late 60s and early 70s is there's a violin involved. And it's not just like a flourish. It's like a main instrument. It's played by Simon House, who worked with bands like Nectar and even David Bowie. So he's kind of a renowned violinist. But this is not sweet, soothing, you know, classical violin. This is crunchy violin, if that makes sense. This is like hard rock violin. Almost has a Celtic type sound to it. But it's a main instrument. It's in every song. And what a selection of songs on here. The first one, the Lament, is just, I think it's a Futilis Lament. That's the one with the way out lyrics. And then that's immediately followed up by an instrumental called Death Warmed Up. And that thing just absolutely rocks. Side one especially is just like, the whole thing is excellent. Side two, you know, they kind of go into some different areas, but yeah, if you like hard rock, I guess you'd call it proto metal. High Tide from the band, and Sea Shanties is the album. They had one more album, was not even released in the U.S., so that's going to be super, super hard to find. But they came back in the late 80s, I guess, for a few albums. I'm not really familiar with those, but this is the one. High Tide, Sea Shanties. You like heavy, heavy rock from the late 60s, early 70s, you definitely want to seek that out. The Fallen Angels from Washington, D.C. This is not nearly anywhere near as heavy as the Sea Shanties from High Tide. This is also a reissue. Originally came out on Roulette Records. Now it's on Jackpot Records. Nice purple vinyl here. And you can see, like they usually do with the reissues, they tried to stay true to the original label there, the Roulette label. Roulette, you know, kind of a company that would usually kind of capitalize on a sound and, you know, try to do their own thing with it. And the record company was pretty much very much in control. And that's what happened here with this band. The record company's pretty much telling them, we need this Tommy James and the Shondells type of sound. We had a bunch of success for them, so we're going to do that with you too. From what I understand, their second album, which I've got to get that, is more... They're more in control because the record label pretty much abandoned them at that point. Was like, hey, your first one didn't sell that well, so yeah, on the second one you just do whatever you want. We're not going to promote it. So I got to get their second one. This one's okay. It's got a lot of decent sounds on here. Room at the Top starts it off. That's kind of like a bouncier tune. They kind of have some Gandalf sounding moments. If you're familiar with that band, I've talked about quite a bit. Showed the new Record Store Day one I had. I had a reissue before that. A little bit of Gandalf in here. But the problem with this is they go a little too banjo-y vaudeville in a few different tracks. And it's like 3 or 4 songs. So it's not just like one-off song in here that's kind of wacky. They keep going back to it, and it kind of ruins the flow of the album. You know, one song even literally ends with da-da-da-da-da-da. You know, it's like, it's that, you know, it's that much. And, you know, the banjos and the soft shoe kind of, you know, you can just see somebody trotting along with a cane and a top hat, some of these. But, yeah, this sounds terrific, though. As far as sound quality and vinyl pressing, terrific. It's got the hype sticker on here letting you know that it was Kevin Gray that mastered it from the original master tapes, pressed at RTI. So there's the seal of approval right there. You know it was going to sound great with all that going on. And this is... said that it's garage pop laced with lyrical and instrumental experimentation. I don't know too much about that instrumental experimentation, but it is laced. So you get an idea of, yeah, it's going to be psychedelic when they're starting to use words to draw you in, like laced with, but I love that. But yeah, it's more like just kind of garage pop more than garage rock. A few decent songs on here, but man, those tracks where it's just the banjos and the, you know, that really... Wow, that really breaks it up. So I want to get their second one. But yeah, decent album, I guess. I'd give it 3.5 stars. The Falling Angels debut, again, from from Washington, D.C. This is another reissue. I actually like this one a lot more than the Fallen Angels. I should have showed this first because this actually came out just last week. This is Nucleus from 1969, another band where it's their only album. These guys from Toronto, and I think they were called the Lords of London before this, and they had a couple of singles, but they are from Canada. But yeah, Nucleus is their name. It gives several definitions of the word nucleus on the back here, one of them, of course, being a band. This band with the broken egg there, this is a reissue on this beautiful white vinyl. It is, as you can see, on the mainstream label, been reissued by Sundays, and according to the hype sticker, because Sundays now doing like music on vinyl, they're not shrink wrapping, they're just putting them in this plastic sleeve here. And on the hype sticker, it's Hammond organ riffs interwoven with heavy electric guitar and melodic bass lines give Nucleus an edge. Their odd time signatures make it an oral lobotomy. This is crazy, psych. This is the kind of this kind of thing is my bag, baby. Yeah, this is really cool stuff. This is a freak out, especially right from the get-go. First song, Jenny Wake Up, starts off with just this dude going off on something. He's on the left channel. He's echoing on the right channel, talking about dirty hippies and stuff like that. And then it breaks into this just swirling, screaming guitar. And then it just goes into this like real nice sunshine pop for a little bit. Then it goes into other thing. Then the guitars are back. It's like 5 songs just kind of welded manically together. It's awesome. 9 minutes long. There's only 6 songs on here, by the way. Some of them are more like 7, 9 minutes long. There's a couple shorter ones in the middle there. All About Me and the Spidery Bass. With titles like that, I mean, you know you're going to be a winner with this album. That's the second track on here. More just screeching guitar. Of course, as promised on the sticker there, you do have the Hammond organ taking center stage on a lot of these songs. If you like your stuff kind of frantic, you know, organ riffs, great bass lines too, just like promised. The bass is in there doing its thing. It's not all kind of jumbled together, so you can really kind of pick out the different instruments and listen to different things each time you hear this. I've heard this 4 times at this point. Nucleus, man, I wish they would have made more albums, but that's a really cool cover too, them breaking out of the egg like that. You can tell, the thing about it too, unfortunately, is it is a reissue, and you can definitely tell this is a reissue cover because it's got that kind of, you know, redone kind of look on the cover there. It doesn't pop like an original would with the colors and everything. It's kind of washed out a little bit there. But yeah, great album inside. The sound is fantastic. And glad I got this for, you know, reissue price instead of having to find an original and paying an outrageous price for it. So yeah, a mainstream label, Nucleus, an absolute freak out all the way through. Blistering guitars. The last track on here, Communication, I believe was issued in a shorter form on a single. It kind of slows things down and gets... You know, talks about this girl who's innocent and, you know, but she's innocent and she's still stoned and, you know, you don't want to just come sexually. You want to come with your mind too, you know. Okay, I agree with that. Yeah, just great stuff on here. I would definitely, out of the 3, if you want like more of the garage kind of thing with the drug references, go with the Seeds. If you want more of a psychedelic freakout type thing, go with Nucleus. If you want, you know, kind of sunshine pop, a little bit upbeat there with a little bit of vaudeville action, then you know, go with the Fallen Angels. A couple of soundtracks that I picked up, Zabriskie Point. I saw this movie a long time ago, like back in the 90s. I don't remember it, but I don't remember caring very much for it. The soundtrack is a curio, basically. It's one of those things that doesn't really work that well away from the movie. It's kind of like a memento from the movie. Of course, you've got Pink Floyd on here, or as they're known here. This is one of the releases where they're known as the Pink Floyd. You get the Kaleidoscope, the Grateful Dead, and the Youngbloods. But yeah, the Pink Floyd is on here. And they've got like 3 tracks, I think. Heartbeat, Big Meat, Pig Meat starts it off. And that is kind of just like, it could have been an intro, alternate intro to Dark Side of the Moon. It's got the heartbeat that then goes into a drum rhythm with a lot of dialogue snatches and stuff like that. They do Crumbling Land, which is my favorite of the Pink Floyd songs on here. Nice, you know, just a nice mellow kind of Pink Floyd stuff on here. Come on in, number 51. Your time is up. is basically just an alternate version of Careful with That Axe, Eugene. With the scream is, pretty much the same thing. That's on here. That closes out the album as well. So you got 3 Pink Floyd tracks. You got The Kaleidoscope, as they're known on here. It is not the UK band. It is the other band, the American band, Kaleidoscope. Brother Mary is their song, kind of a goofy vaudeville type thing going on here. You got Grateful Dead on here is actually represented by just a small snippet of Dark Star. So it's not even the full song. It's just like 2.5 minutes of Dark Star, like the middle part there with the instrumental mostly. You got I Wish I Was a Single Girl Again from Roscoe Holcomb, which is old-time bluegrass. Speaking of old-time, you got Patti Page with the Tennessee Waltz on here, just seemingly out of the blue. And that's one of the things that really doesn't work as well with this, is the old-time bluegrass song kind of goes with the psychedelic because it's from another time, another place, kind of a different sound that's just out there. So it works a little better than the polished pop vocal huge Tennessee Waltz song from Patti Page. That really seems out of place on here. But the thing about this Dance of Death from John Fay's kind of it's a serviceable acoustic tune. The thing about this is this is the 1986 repressing of this, and the sound quality on this is horrendous. And this was put out by MCA in 1986. Originally, I think it was on MGM in 1970. This is terrible sounding. This sounds like some how some YouTubers will upload like a 45 or something, and they'll just use the microphone on their camera as the audio source. That's what this sounds like. Somebody put the microphone up to a TV back in the 80s, and they were recording a concert or something. That's what this sounds like. It's like they've recorded The Room playing this album. Not even really releasable, in my opinion. This, especially if you're going to do that to like Pink Floyd and the Grateful Dead. Just, no. I understand that the 1970 version sounds better. I don't have that to compare it to, but you definitely want to stay away from this reissue with the little MCA classic soundtracks circle on there. Stay away. This is terrible sounding all the way through. And I think the Pink Floyd songs, they're all available elsewhere. I think they sound better on a Pink Floyd album. You definitely, if you're going to hear Dark Star from Grateful Dead, you want to hear the whole thing. All of these songs are pretty much available elsewhere. Patti Page's Tennessee Waltz is available in a lot of places as well. Also got this soundtrack, Riot on Sunset Strip, which I've been looking for a while. But I only found this for like $5. And this is a promo copy because it's got free in it. That's the way Capitol used to do theirs. They never had like white label promos type stuff. They would just have this free like cut into it. But Riot on Sunset Strip from 1967. Here's the movie. I've talked about the movie in another recent video, so I won't go too much into that. With Mimsy Farmer and Aldo Ray in there. Great movie if you've never seen that. Kind of hard to find. This was a made-on-demand video from MGM. But this features the Mugwumps, which was the early, Mamas and Papas before they were the Mamas and Papas. Denny was in that, and not Mama Cass or whatever. But was she in it? Was she in the Mugwumps? I don't know. But anyway, the Mugwumps song doesn't matter anyway because it's a terrible song. The Chocolate Watch Band, talked about them recently. That's when I talked about the movie when I had their best of. They're full on in the Mick Jagger, trying to sound like Mick Jagger mode here in that Don't Need Your Lovin' song. And if you watch the movie, you can see him trying to dance just like Mick Jagger as well. This also has the Standells. Big in the LA scene, obviously, and the Sidewalk Sound, which I think is one of those bands that just made up for the movie. I think it's actually Dave Allen and the same type of thing going on there. But yeah, you got those are the major bands on here, and it's an okay soundtrack. It really fits the mood of the movie. You got the Sunset Strip kind of garage rock, type thing from 1967. Decent listen, kind of short. It's only 10 songs. They're like 2.5 minutes each. But the bad thing about this is, again, just like Zabriskie Point, sound quality. This, Tower Records, it's a Capitol, basically, subsidiary of Capitol, and it's got the Capitol Duophonic Stereo, which is basically fake stereo. And it's that echoey kind of, we're just going to put a little reverb echo on it and call it a day, and that's what they did here. So if you get Riot on Sunset Strip, again, decent soundtrack, you want to get the mono version. Because that's the way it's supposed to sound. And if I ever find the mono version for cheap like I found this, And this is like really good condition too. This is like probably excellent, you know, which they don't have on Discogs. I don't know why, but better than VG Plus, not quite near mint. But yeah, if you find this for cheap, get the mono version of this, and definitely check out the movie if it's ever. I don't know if you can stream it or not, but fun stuff from 1967. And that's going to wrap it up. Hope you enjoyed my video of my recent psych finds. Like I said, I've got a grail, and if you watch a lot of my videos, you probably already know what it is. I decided it was so special, I was going to make a separate video for that, so that's coming up as well. Once again, I'm Robert Fithen, and thank you so much for watching.